Mr. and Mrs. Hay the Horse by Allan Ahlberg. Illustrated by Colin Norton. Mr. and Mrs. Hay were a horse. Mr. Hay was the front end, Mrs. Hay was the back end. They worked in a circus and on the stage. Now Mr. Hay and Mrs. Hay had not always been a horse. When they first met, Mr. Hay was a tree and Mrs. Hay was a chicken. Will you marry me? Oh, yes. But soon they fell in love, got married, and bought a horse suit. As the years went by, Mr. and Mrs. Hay had two children. There was a boy named Henry. There was a girl named Henrietta. When the children were little, they were very happy. They rode on their mom and dad's back. They laughed at their moms and dad trick. They were as proud as could be. Our mom and dad are a horse. They told everybody, "Hey, what's going on?" "Oh, we're just horsing around. Our mom and dad are a horse." Huh? But later on, when the children were older, the trouble began. Henry and Henrietta were embarrassed by their mom and dad. The trouble was, Mr. and Mrs. Hay liked being a horse. They went everywhere in their horse suit. They liked doing tricks too. They liked galloping it around. Other moms and dads were more sensible. The mom wore dresses and cooked apple pies. The dads dug the gardens and took the dogs for a walk. Mr. and Mrs. Hay did not take the dog for a walk. They took him for a ride. So Henry and Henrietta tried to get their parents to be like other parents. "Would you like a job in an office, Dad?" they said. "Would you like to work in the shop, Mom?" They also hid the hot suit. But it was no use. The hot suit was soon found, and things did not get better. They got worse. There was trouble at school too. Other moms and dad came to see the teacher and waited quietly. Mr. and Mrs. Hay came to see the teacher and galloped about. Now once a year at the school there was a Christmas show. The conjurer came and did his tricks for the children. The moms and the dads were also invited. Henry and Henrietta were pleased about the show, but they were worried too. "Oh dear," they said, "the other moms and dad wouldn't come in the best clothes and be sensible. Our mom and dad wouldn't be galloping around in a hot suit." Christmas show, Cosmo the Conjurer. On the night of the show, Henry and Henrietta went to school early. They had to get the stage ready. They put the chairs out. By 7:30, most of the people were in their seats, but Mr. and Mrs. Hay were late. Henry and Henrietta could not see them anywhere. Then the headmaster stepped onto the stage. He was looking worried. "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls," he said, "I am sorry to say there will be no show tonight." A baby in the front row began to cry. "The conjurer cannot come," the headmaster said. He had to take his rabbits to the vet. Not all the moms and dads looked sad. The children looked sad too. The baby in the front row cried louder than ever. Then suddenly there was the sound of a galloping horse, and onto the stage came Mr. and Mrs. Hay. "Oh dear," said Henry and Henrietta. They felt their cheeks getting hot and red, but soon Mr. and Mrs. Hay were doing their tricks. They sang songs too, and danced, and told jokes. Then the baby in the front row began to laugh, and the children laughed, and the parents cheered and clapped their hands. "Chicken-Doggy come to town, riding a pony. They stuck a feather on his cap and called it a macaroni. Who goes to step with his shoes on? A horse! Hooray!" Henry and Henrietta began to feel better. When the headmaster said, "Three cheers for Mr. and Mrs. Hay," they felt better still. When the other children said, "We wish our moms and dads were horses," Henry and Henrietta were as proud as could be. And now the story is nearly ended except for one more thing. 2 nights later, when Henry and Henrietta were fast asleep, a funny Father Christmas crept into the room. This Father Christmas had lots of presents for the children, lots and lots. But there was one special present. It was just what Henry and Henrietta wanted most of all. A little horse suit. Giddy up! Glug, 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 glug. The end.